Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second episode of the Cecelia Talk Show. I'm here with longtime friend of the show, Nicky Rudd.
What's going on? How are we doing, Cecelia?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're here in the Riff TV studio. This is my first time doing an interview with what's going to be my background for the Rudd Report coming soon. Rudd Report, second syndicated show on Riff TV. I've been on Slightly Offensive since I got into this whole political world and just getting my feet wet. And we've been co-hosting on the show, me and Elijah back and forth. But now I think we're ready. It's time for the Rudd Report to come out. So I'm excited. Very soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be going. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I actually want to talk about your little moment of stardom because I think that we're both in a unique position where I actually talked to you about like 15 seconds after it happened. But yeah, if you just want to talk about that little incident at Turning Point USA and kind of what occurred on your end.
Absolutely. So it all started when Charlie, rest in peace, was assassinated. This is where the beginning of the story comes from. And that happened. I had not been politically active on my campus at the time. I went to Baylor. I just graduated a month ago. So trying to be, an adult now. But I was on Baylor campus. It was basically the beginning of my senior year. And Charlie gets assassinated. And I've always been a conservative. I've always cared about politics. But I was sitting on the sidelines the whole time. When that happened that day, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't be quiet anymore. I had to get involved. So I went to that night, my campus's Baylor's vigil for Charlie Kirk, and there was about 200 people. It was a decent showing, and people were talking. We were doing some praise and worship songs, and there was a speech by one of the guys who was involved on campus politics, and I listened. He did great, but I just felt like some more needed to be said. Somebody else needed to go up there, and I felt called. I felt like it was my job to do it. And so I jumped up there and off the dome. I didn't have anything really prepared, but I just spoke from the heart, and people really received it well. The president of TPUSA, that chapter at Baylor, asked me to join. I joined and immediately got really involved. Started going to all the meetings, and after a couple months, I started hearing about AmFest. AmFest is coming up, and at the time, I thought, okay, I'm going to graduate in next May. I'm going to get some job that I'm going to hate. I should also try to get involved in politics, make some relationships, get some contacts so that maybe in the future I could utilize some of my skills. I think I'm a good communicator and get involved in the Republican Party. So I go to AmFest with some of the other people from my chapter. And as I'm there, I'm walking around. They've got all the booths. You see the Zionist generation. Oh, it's amazing time of my life. But as I'm walking around, I'm meeting people. They start up the first day. It was a Thursday, and my other friends, I had one friend with me. Our three other friends had already sat down, and they're texting me. They're like, hey, it's about to start. It's about to start. Like, you're going to miss it. I'm like, can you please try to hold us 2 seats? And so they hold us 2 seats.
Let's talk about that seating situation, because that was awful. They put me in the nosebleeds. I couldn't sit in the student section. And, I only went to AmFest to see Tucker. I'm not going to lie. That was, my main driving point. And I'm all the way in the corner, and I'm like, this is not real. And I got yelled at by, the AmFest ladies. So it's not just you. Don't worry. They were like, you can't sit here. You can't. I'm like, all right, bro. I have the college admission thing and everything. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, they don't play around about their seating.
They don't.
No, if you don't get in and get in the right spot that you're supposed to sit in, you're kind of screwed. Thankfully, my friends from the chapter at Baylor, they had some connections. They knew some people who were working for TPUSA, so they were able to secure the couple seats. And we had to run, me and my other friend, pushing through all these people. Eventually, we get up there, right, and they were able to save us seats. And we're sitting down. Everything starts out. Erica speaks first, and then the first official speaker after her is Ben Shapiro. Now I'm sitting there, and Shapiro, right off the jump, immediately is attacking Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, basically everybody who on the right is worth something that's still in the establishment, right? And so he's attacking all of these people, and if people, for those at home who don't know the layout of a TPUSA event, in the front section, you got high school and college students. They want the students up front, and that's the way they should do it. They have us up there. Then in the middle, it's typically like young professionals or people who are working for TPUSA. And then in the back, you've got families, aka a lot of boomers and a lot of people who aren't affiliated or aren't in a college or in TPUSA itself. So in the front is all the young people. Well, all the young people are pissed. People are like booing him, and he's calling out Tucker and Candace. People are not happy. The young people aren't. Whenever he says something that people agree with and people start cheering, that's coming from the middle, but mostly the back. So the boomers are cheering on Shapiro, but the young people are not happy. And so I'm looking left and right. I'm asking my friends, people I don't even know. I'm like, screw this guy. And everyone's agreeing with me. I'm like, somebody's got to go up and press him.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to do it. And they're like, someone turns around to me. He's like, hey, well, if you're going to talk about it, then why don't you just go do it? I'm like, all right, bro. I don't back down. I don't back down. So I'm like, okay, all right. You know, if you want to challenge me, then I'll be the guy to do it. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, what am I going to say to Ben Shapiro? Well, at the beginning of his speech, he says, the core tenet of American conservatism is truth. I'm like, okay, well, what's something that's objectively true that Ben Shapiro denies, or at least obfuscates and lies about? Well, then immediately I knew the answer is the USS Liberty. So I'm sitting there, and this is all while he's speaking. I'm trying to get ready. I'm like, what am I going to say to him when the Q&A section starts? Well, it just so turns out that at the end of the speech, I see some TPUSA members or leaders walking up. The Q&A line is right next to me. It is right next to where we're seated. And again, I wasn't even the one who chose the seats. It was my friend. So ever since that has happened, and many things that have happened after that, I thought everything was honestly a move of God. Like, he put me in the right place at the right time for a reason. And so they say Q&A, and you know, while you're sitting there stewing and waiting for this to happen, you're getting nervous. I'm like, am I really going to do this? But as soon as it was time for Q&A, I just jumped up and ran right there. And because of the timing, I was the first person in line and the second person to ask a question. They have two sides doing Q&A, one on one side of the auditorium, one on the other side. I was on the left side, and they start on the other side, and immediately it jumps over to me, and that's when I ripped it. I said, Ben Shapiro, thank you for being here, but you called the core tenet of American conservatism is the truth. Why did you call the USS Liberty attack irrelevant? And that's where everything started, man. And it was a whirlwind. As soon as that happened, I sat back down. Atlantic reporter jumped on top of me. New York Times reporter, not Times, the New Yorker jumped on top of me. All these reporters asking me. Very quickly, I figured out how this was going to go for me, because the Atlantic guy starts talking to me. He says, so why'd you do that? I give him my explanation. Immediately, the second question is, so what do you think about Nick Fuentes? So immediately and obviously I know why he's doing it. Immediately it's to attack me, try to slander me, and try to make it seem like anyone who might ask those questions is some sort of neo-Nazi, because it doesn't even matter whether even Nick Fuentes is actually that. That doesn't even matter. He's been slandered about, lied about. It's been a long day, you guys. He's been lied about so much that just the mere mention of his name insinuates a pure hatred of entire people groups and neo-Nazi ideology. So in that moment, I thought I gave a decent answer. I had to be smart because I'm still in college, right? I'm not graduated. I haven't graduated yet. And the school I go to, Baylor, it's a private university. So you actually have no First Amendment protections at a private university like that. They could kick you out for whatever reason. If you were to say something or align yourself with someone that they think is detrimental to the college or university, or just contrary to the university's beliefs, you're gone. So I had to be strategic about some of the things I was saying while I was being interviewed by these people right in that moment, and then afterwards for the next few months, as I got progressively closer to graduation, my tweets got a little more and more out there. I think I was like, "Well, you're going to kick me out? I got 3 weeks left. You're gonna kick me out now." So thankfully, I was able to make it until graduation and didn't get kicked out. I have my diploma. They can't take it away from me.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. Like, where I was sitting, I was kind of like, if the line was here, I was sitting over here. So I was like kind of off to the side more. But I, like, you know, you see the TV screens, you're like, okay, this makes me nauseous. Like, there's too many flashing lights. There's pyrometrics going on everywhere. I think that's what it's called. But like, all the lights and stuff. So I'm watching these questions, right? And then I see Tucker come on right after. And I can see you arguing with the lady, like, he literally just said my name. Am I not allowed to address him? Which was also kind of crazy. Like, they're not going to let you speak. But, like, everyone noticed that. Like, a lot of people turned over. But, yeah, no, for sure. All the college kids were not a fan of Ben Shapiro. Not a fan whatsoever. No one was happy with his speech. And then we had those awkward filler speeches. I'm blanking on his name. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
And then
they got people up there named Joe Bob. Who even is that, brother? I've never heard of that dude in my life. Sorry if he's a cool guy. I'm just saying Joe Bob. Joe Bob's our next guest speaker. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we were all like waiting for Tucker. We were all just waiting for Tucker. We were like, okay, shots have been fired. I kind of want to see what's going to happen next. But yeah, no, it was crazy. Like, and then I came up after you and I talked to you and I was like, thank you for doing that. Like, someone needed to say it. And you ended up saying it. And I thought that was kind of crazy. And then I think it was the same night, it was my group. We saw you out. Yeah, we saw everyone leaving and we were like, oh, we should like ask him for like an interview really quick. Missed you. And then you went back. And then it was Nick and I saw you the next morning. And like we caught you like completely randomly and we were like, hey, like, can we interview you really quick? And then like that was it. And then it's longtime friend of the show, Yeah,
let's go. Been here since day one, bro. Yeah, real OG. It was interesting, man. It was a crazy experience. I go sit back down. These people are all talking to me after I press Shapiro. Then Tucker goes up there, and 15 minutes later, Tucker Carlson is shouting me out, defending me in front of the world, defending me from the attacks of Ben Shapiro. So I tried to hop back in the line, and I will say, it is true that TPUSA has a one question policy. So it's not like they totally just blackballed me just because they didn't want me to ask a question. I'll give them some grace on that. But I feel like you got to make an exception when he literally talked about me specifically in this speech. You got to let me have one more little moment. I think they're like, he's got enough clips for one night. So they shut me down there. But it was really a once in a lifetime thing. It was kind of a fever dream, like 24 hours for me, because I grew up watching Tucker every single night, basically Monday through Friday on every weekday with my dad. I would get done with lacrosse practice and I go home and we're eating dinner. We're watching Tucker Carlson on Fox News, and he was my hero for a long time. So for that moment to happen where what I felt like was standing up for my country against a subversive who does not put America first and doesn't belong here, and get attacked by him. Basically, and he insinuates I'm a hateful, evil, anti-Semitic person, and then Tucker Carlson to go up 15 minutes later and defend me. It was really a fever dream for me. And the next few days, as AmFest was going on, I didn't have any hate in real life. I had no one come up to me, press me. I had a couple boomers, but like, does that even count? They're going to be gone in 10 years anyway.
I texted you, like the Daily Wire was like asking if we had seen you. I don't know if you still have those texts from Nick, but the Daily Wire came up to us and they asked like who we've been interviewing because we were interviewing people. And I was like, oh, we talked to Jeb Baugh, we talked to Nicky Rudd. And she was like, oh, can you give me his phone number? I was like, no. No.
W.
I was like, no, we're not going to give you his phone number. And we were both like sitting there like, are you insane? Like, this kid just like pressed your boss and now you want his phone number? Like, that seems like a horrible idea. Do you want me to put him on like a hit list? Like, that's what it felt like she was asking me to do. But she was like, and she was like, well, do you know where he is right now? I was like, I don't know, like, go look around. But by the way, the Daily Wire had horrible journalism skills. I mean, they came up and asked Nick and I, and when I say Nick and I, I'm not talking about Nicky, I'm talking about my boyfriend's name is also Nick. But
we're the best, dude. Any dude named Nick is a patriot, gotta say.
Yeah.
Absolute patriot.
But Nick and they like came up and asked if we were like meeting other couples at Amfest, and that's why we came, and we just were like, no.
Weird question. Did you come to meet other couples at Amfest?
Dude,
I'd probably go somewhere else if I wanted to do something like that.
They acted like
okay?
it was a swingers convention, and like we were looking for other couples, and we were like, no. And they were like, oh, why'd you guys come? And I was like, Tucker Carlson. And then obviously interview gets scrapped, never uploaded. But I still have the video of me interviewing the girl from the Daily Wire. So that also never got uploaded either, but
they never came and found me. I do remember you telling me that, and I was walking around, man. I was there, but an interesting thing that we didn't talk about is something that happened with me and Elijah, because I met Elijah the next night. So that was Thursday when the Ben Shapiro thing happened, and then just overnight, it's everywhere. It's the video is absolutely viral. And so then on Friday, I walk in and I talk with you. Y'all are the first people I talked to, actually. Post the next day, and I talk with you guys outside of the venue. I walk inside right after I talk to y'all, then I talk to some local magazine. I walk inside, and I made a couple buddies who, I don't know, maybe they wanted to be groupies for the day or something like that, but they wanted to follow me around. They wanted to follow. Shout out. No, when I say that, that sounds disrespectful. They were great guys. I'm still friends with one of them to this day. He's a great dude. Shout out Levi. But they just, I don't know. I just had a moment, so obviously that's why they wanted to follow me around. But I really appreciated it. Because the people I was with were all girls, and that's not exactly like, if I'm walking around and I could potentially get pressed by a bunch of Zionist dudes or something, like, probably don't want to have an entourage of women with me for that. So these two guys were walking around with me. We're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next move? What am I going to do? And so I have an idea. We make a couple of videos. I'm like, this is not it. I'm like, what if we just go into where all the tents are, where all the booths are, and I just walk around them, so people really get a feel like of what the environment is, and see that like I'm really here and I'm not scared, and I'm walking around and I'm in front of all these people. If you watch the video I made, the one that blew up, you can see the Generation Zion and all these.
Yeah, I know exactly what road you were walking down to, because it was all of like Jesus was Jewish and all of these like different Jewish organizations down that row, and then there was like the weird health plates that people were trying. No, those things you stand on. The Maha, all the Maha stuff, and they're definitely trying to sell some peptides there. But I'm walking through there, I make the video, and that takes off. So that night, I post that, and then people are immediately retweeting it. It ends up getting a couple million views on Twitter. And I decided, I was like, I gotta go somewhere where I can meet some people. So I bought the ticket to James O'Keefe's after party, right? And so I go to the James O'Keefe after party, which people made it sound like it's so insane and like crazy stuff is happening. It's just not true. Okay, it's some people hanging out at a bar. Okay, that's what it was. It was cool, but like, it's not some crazy degenerate thing they try to make it out to be. But I'm there and I'm walking around, and I'm meeting a bunch of people. I end up meeting Elijah Schaefer that night. He retweets my thing, shouts me out, and he's like, okay, meet up with me tomorrow. We'll do an interview. So I'm walking around the next day with Elijah Schaefer, and pretty quickly after walking around there, we get stopped by security. Security stops us, and they're first talking to Elijah, and then they're talking to me. Why are you here? What's your name? Where are you coming from? Like, I'm literally a chapter member of TPUSA. I'm in college. I am a TPUSA college student. And then they walk away. They're talking again. They take us upstairs to like this secluded area, and like, you have to stay here. You can't leave. We're detaining you for the moment. For what reason? They wouldn't explain it to us. Then a few minutes goes by. Elijah walks over and starts talking to them. I have been placed, it wasn't Elijah, it was me. I had been placed on a far-right neo-Nazi watch list at TPUSA Amfest. Remind you, no one knew who I was. I had never been to an organization event. I was not affiliated with anybody except for my TPUSA Baylor chapter. That was it. They put me on a watch list. Yeah, I haven't really talked about it that much. So the only inference there, because the only thing I had done publicly was ask Ben Shapiro about the USS Liberty. That was it. I had never done anything else. And so I was put on a watch list. They detained me, and me and Elijah Schaefer are sitting there,
Elijah makes a call because he knows people. He's been around for a long time. He's a well-known guy. And this is before some of his scandals. So he makes a call to some of the higher ups in TPUSA, and they have a conversation. And he, because of his connections, they remove me. They take me off the list, and they say, "Okay, you're free to go. You're no longer detained." Well, we talk, and he had talked to one of the higher ups, and basically somebody, don't know who, they didn't say who it was, but we can guess, had made a call to not the higher ups, but whoever it is at TPUSA that runs watch lists or security for potential threats to the venue. That's basically what it was. They called whoever runs that and then put me on that list. Got me put on that list so that the next day when I'm walking around and I get identified, I would get thrown out and not allowed back in. And we know who that was. All I can do is allege. I guess I don't technically know. I am alleging that the Daily Wire made that call. Who else would do that? Who else would do that? The TPUSA organization, higher ups, they have Tucker Carlson come speak. Tucker Carlson, before this event, had spoke about the USS Liberty before.
He just had Nick Fuentes on his podcast like 2 days before
this happened. Correct. So Tucker Carlson can speak. He's talked about the USS Liberty, but I ask a question about it and you're going to get me detained. No, clearly it wasn't the TPUSA organization's leadership that made that call. It was somebody from the outside who didn't want me to walk around anymore, who wanted me to get banned, who didn't want me to have a gotcha moment on Ben Shapiro. It was the Daily Wire. I'm alleging. And so that was a crazy moment for me. Put on a watch list 2 days into politics, put on a watch list, thankfully got it removed. And that's, one of the benefits of having connected friends. But it was a crazy moment for me. And thankfully, praise God, I was removed from that. But it really goes to show if you cross the wrong people in this sphere, Con Inc. will come after you. They will try to shoot you out of orbit, shoot you out of air. They don't want you to rise up if you're going to be an America First Patriot. That's what they tried to do to me. Thankfully, I knew the right people. Had I been on my own and had I not been with Elijah, I probably would have gotten kicked out and maybe the next day called the right people and gotten off that list. But you never know. I might have been totally banned.
Yeah, and I just want to reinforce, Daily Wire, don't sue me. Everything that was said was alleged, Like
I said, it's alleged. I don't know, but who else would do that?
But that's the crazy part, because, we went outside, right? We were outside interviewing people, you had a bunch of people on the side protesting. We were curious about that. I think it's crazier that they almost kicked you out, but not the last guy who talked to Charlie was just there debating people. So they went to try to kick you out first before they would kick him out. I don't know. That's just a little weird to me.
One thing I found out very quickly is that Con Inc., the establishment, they are much they are much cozier. They feel much better, much more comfortable with leftists, liberals, straight up communists than they are with somebody to their right who agrees with them on the pro-life stance, who agrees with them on the Second Amendment, who agrees with them on free speech, who agrees with them on so many other topics, but he might just be an America First Patriot, wants to shut down immigration, doesn't want foreign influence in our government, doesn't want to fight Israel's wars. If you have those stances and those beliefs and you're willing to say that out loud, they hate you more than a communist who is the opposite of everything that they claim to believe and stand in. It tells you where they truly feel threatened. They're not threatened by the liberals or the leftists. They're threatened by a challenge to the right, because the right, they have the truth. We have the truth. We stand on principles that they can't defeat us on in an argument.
Yeah, no, it is really crazy. The TPUSA list gets longer every single year of who they want to kick out, who they don't want to allow back. I remember seeing clips of Myron getting kicked out. I don't know the full situation there. I heard some nice, not so nice words were exchanged between him and a woman, which, I'm not going to get into that because I don't remember exactly what was said, but it's all right, you have someone who's, in an altercation, right? A verbal altercation with someone gets kicked out. But then you also have, a 22-year-old kid walking around and you're like, he's a neo-Nazi. He's a threat if he's here. you get detained. I don't know. It's still pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy to me. I did not know that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's something I really didn't want to talk about, especially before I graduated, because until I graduated, I was still a member of TPUSA chapter at my school, so I didn't want to get them in trouble. I didn't want to get heat on myself at school. Them thinking, well, if TPUSA put you on a list, then you can't stay here. Thankfully, I will say I do feel bad because look, I'm more out there than every single member of that chapter.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's how this goes. Like I said earlier, if I agree with you on almost every single tenet of American conservatism, right, as Ben Shapiro would say, if I agree with you on so many different things, but look, I'm pressing right on immigration, I'm pressing right on foreign influence, I'm pressing right on foreign wars, I think I should still be allowed into these organizations and have a say on the direction of the country alongside you guys. So I didn't talk about it a lot because I wanted to keep them safe, really, and protect them, and also be able to stay a member of the chapter. So I kept it on the low. And also, it's not totally TPUSA's fault. I really do think that was a Daily Wire operation, allegedly. So.
Yeah, so, what was the reaction from, your fellow college students when you returned back to campus?
From people in the organization, there's several of them that it's interesting because the young people who are conservative but not politically active are more right-wing than a lot of the conservatives who are, because they're trying to operate within the establishment, and maybe their parents are involved in politics. They want to get a job in the administration or for a local congressman, something like that. And so they'll be more moderate because they want to play by the rules than people who are conservative and just not involved. So the conservatives on campus, and certainly I had talked, it was an Israel issue, right, that I blew up on. So the liberals agree with me on the Israel topic, but for different motivations, for different reasons. So the liberals agreed with me, and then the conservative America Firsters on campus agreed with me. I didn't really get any hate. No one was upset about it, to be honest. And that tells you the direction of where Gen Z is going. And certainly it's going to be true of Gen Alpha as well as they get older. Nobody is a super Zionist other than those who are getting their checks signed by Israel or pro-Israel aligned organizations and parties. That's just a fact. So on campus, honestly, nobody really pressed back on me. I really didn't get any hate. It was when we would do tabling, because every TPUSA chapter does, when we would do tabling about ICE and stuff like that, and I was defending ICE, that's when I would get some pushback. But no one had a problem with my anti-Israel rhetoric.
Yeah, did you ever get posted on Yik Yak? That's the real question. I don't know if your college has Yik Yak, but...
Yeah, we do. It's funny. I got posted on Yik Yak for more for other things than even the politics stuff. It was kind of funny. We do a thing at Baylor called Sing, and fraternities and sororities, they all have to do it, and so I would sing for my fraternity. But I got posted more for that than even the political stuff. So people sent out a couple things, but it really wasn't a big deal, and pretty much everybody liked it, honestly. So it was cool.
That's an interesting reflection, because I feel like a lot of people would think, I don't know if I'd be the biggest fan of returning to school after that happened. I'd be like, oh no, this could go one of two ways. Either it's really positive or it's going to be really negative, and my professors are going to hate me, and the other students around me are going to hate me. But that's actually, I think that's really cool that you didn't really get any pushback whatsoever on it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mostly blew up on Twitter. I got some on Instagram, but on Twitter, nobody's on Twitter that's our age. Let's be honest. I hate to say it, but there are some, but it's mostly the right-wing chuds. Your average college student is not really on Twitter, and if they are, it's one of the burnerverse accounts. I don't know if you're familiar with the burnerverse on Twitter, but it's frat dudes who are just posting about drinking and stuff like that. It's not really a lot of college girls who are scrolling Twitter for politics. That's just not really happening.
Yeah, I'm getting called out right now. I go on Twitter. Yeah, no, I love Twitter. I'm such a Twitter degenerate. I try not to open it because once I open it, I never close the app. Elon Musk has he has his grip on me. I don't know. He made that algorithm so nice. I can't stop scrolling. But
yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm like the exception to the rule.
Yeah. Well, again, it was just if I had blown up off of like an ICE conversation, like deportations or something like that, I absolutely would have gotten more hate at school. I did go to Baylor, so it's a more conservative campus.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So it's you're going to get a little bit less pushback at Baylor versus another school. But because it was Israel, just everyone agreed. Like nobody, whether you were right or left, Gen Z, everyone agreed except for like half of the TPSA chapter because like their parents work in politics or whatever, and so they want to be aligned with the establishment a little bit more. But I'll say even they respectfully disagreed with me, so I always shout them out for that. Nobody like hated me for being anti-Israel in the chapter, but yeah, it was nice. Blow up off Israel, man. Everyone just glazes you. Everyone just loves you. So thankfully, I was able to kind of chill out and cruise by as the semester went along, and I got closer to graduation. I definitely started firing off some more tweets that were little more out there, but nobody's seeing that. The only people seeing it are like 30-year-olds on Twitter who are right wing. So I was pretty insulated from the hate while I was still in school.